We are here with Kendra Tierney, a mother of 10 children, an amazing witness on Instagram. You have to check out our Instagram page, and the author of Catholic All Year. This is a guide for parents on how to raise your kids in the faith in a joyful way, to really celebrate feast days and bring to life the beauty and the joy of Catholicism. It's amazing. My wife, Anne-Marie, has been following Kendra for years, and Kendra's here from your chapel. Is that right?
Yes, this is my attic chapel in our house, painted by my kids and I over the course of many hundreds of hours. Yeah, you can see the time lapse of it happening on my YouTube channel.
Yes, you have to check that out. That was one of the first things that I saw when Anne-Marie was like, you gotta check out Kendra. Look at all that she did. I was like, oh my goodness. So that was a great labor of love. We'll put the link in the description below. So Kendra, this book is something that's so critical. I now have babies, Dominic and Michael, they're identical twin boys. And to think about, people are like, how do I keep my kids Catholic? And I think one of the great ways to keep your kids Catholic is to make the faith exciting. You actually say in the very beginning of this book, I love this. I pray that this book will inspire you to a lifetime of crazy Catholic fun. That's in the very beginning. And it's so true, because there's been nothing more amazing than to celebrate feast days, than to make Sunday a day of celebration and to fast on Fridays. So Kendra, could you tell us how you thought of writing this book?
Yeah, it really started for us because my husband and I were both raised Catholic, baptized, had all of our sacraments, but didn't grow up with any liturgical living in the home or with an understanding of, saints' days outside of St. Patrick. My husband was raised on the south side of Chicago, so there's a St. Patrick's Day parade. You know about that. But yes, as far as all the other feast days, they weren't really part of either of our upbringing. But as we started to grow our family, we knew that we wanted our faith to be a central part of our family life. And we wanted our kids to be able to sit through Mass, to be able to manage a family rosary, to be able to observe fasting days. And as we were looking more and more into that, as we were trying to implement that, I just started coming to this understanding that we were presenting them sort of an incomplete picture of the faith. That for fasting to really be meaningful, feasting has to come after it. And that if we were going to observe, the more challenging parts of our faith, that we should also implement the really joyful and beautiful and inspiring feast days that the church gives us to help us learn about the saints and to learn about the lives of Jesus and the Holy Family and the early church. And that's really what the liturgical calendar is. So I started coming across in my research all these amazing old traditions that used to be celebrated by entire communities. And I really wanted that to be part of our family life. And once we started doing it and we started inviting friends over and just seeing how rich it was and how much it supplemented the sacraments and the other important parts of our faith, I knew I wanted to share it with everybody.
It's a great thing, because what do you typically hear is people just go to church on Sunday and then they, check out of the faith. If throughout the week you're celebrating the feast days, things like that, it really brings it to life. And it's not just a once a week thing. It's an every day. There are some weeks where there are major feast days happening almost every other day. And it's like, wow, this is so exciting. Being a YouTuber, I try to do Instagram posts and things like that for the Saints' days. And it really, changes your perspective. Like the other day was the Feast of St. Ignatius of Antioch, who was mauled by lions, right? That's how he went to his eternal reward, and to think like, wow, that's so inspiring. But if I'm just your average Catholic that doesn't even look at the feast days, how am I going to build that love of the saints and really be surrounded by a cloud of witnesses? And this is a great way to do that. I have a question.
St. Ignatius of Antioch did not just get mauled by lions, though. He also wrote letters to his friends.
That's true.
You are doing that.
Yes. That's good. That's good. I like that. Bringing the positive to light. What is your favorite feast day to do with your family? Other than Christmas and Easter,
Can't I pick a favorite kid instead? Too hard.
Wow.
I really love our celebration of Michaelmas. That one is especially fun and memorable, and was one of the first ones that we started doing. And it's not a traditional practice; it's just something that I thought would be fun. Is that we have a homemade devil piñata, and the kids have wooden swords, and they get to attack the devil piñata with wooden swords, and if you vanquish the devil, then you get the sweet reward of heaven/candy. So that one's really great. I also love the feast of St. John the Baptist, which is a very, very traditional one that has for thousands of years been celebrated with bonfires, with midsummer bonfires. And I love that connection that we can feel with people all over the world and throughout time. Since the very earliest days of the church, there are records of this tradition that go back to like the year 300 or 400. So wow. The idea that we are participating in these liturgical living traditions that have been practiced for so long, and it's just such a beautiful time to be outside and with friends and around a bonfire and just remembering, talking about St. John the Baptist and, and being inspired by him, and so many beautiful prayers. I really love that one. And then as we're entering into Advent, there's just so many beautiful liturgical living traditions that make that such a rich season for us. It's definitely my favorite liturgical season, even though it's one of preparation instead of celebration. I love the way that we prepare for Christmas. Christmas novena is so beautiful. There's the Jesse tree, there are the Christmas anticipation prayer. There's just so many beautiful ways to try to work that awareness of the coming of Christmas into your family's day-to-day life.
I think that Advent is something that may not be as well prepared for, I guess, or Christmas may not be something that's as well prepared for in Advent, because as you go into in your book, there's parties and things like that prior to Christmas. And I always feel like it's Christmas Day and the next day everyone takes down their lights and everything like that. And you're like, it's just started, So it's great to see that and hear that written here. So did you always have a zeal for bringing your faith family life, on fire?
It really started slowly, and it really was baby steps for us. That I spent many years as a Christmas tree right after Thanksgiving kind of person, and and didn't understand that Christmas is a season, and so just it actually came about for us really as I just read old like historical fiction novels and started understanding how Advent used to be observed in families as this time of preparation, where there's a lot of baking and making of decorations out of plants and paper and clay, and that really things that you would do with your hands and do with your family in order to prepare for Christmas. And so it really was a slow process for us of observing Advent the way we do now. And as far as observing the liturgical calendar at all, also really a slow process of just discovering more about feast days and more about saints and how it works for us to incorporate it into our family life in a way that doesn't feel, overwhelming and doesn't detract from our other responsibilities.
That's good. So have you noticed in your older children that may have grown up before you really started to celebrate feast days and things like that? Have you noticed a difference in them? And then has it been great to see your younger children that have grown up in this environment, thrive in it?
I'd say that we definitely adopted it early enough that even my oldest kids, remember it from an early age. My oldest son was maybe, 3 to 5, sort of as we started making these changes. But what I love about having, my oldest is 18 now. I've got 3, almost 4 teenagers next month. And then my youngest is 1. But to see the way that the older kids can move, over to sort of the other side, the helping to prepare, helping to get the little kids excited about our family traditions has been really fun. So
Yes.
it's something that I think really helps bond the older kids with the younger ones.
I think that is so important because nothing can prepare them for parenthood and to raise their children one day in the faith than by helping raise their siblings in the faith, and doing it in a joyful way. So many times the faith is seen as something that, is just so burdensome and detracts from all of your joy and things like that. But in making Sundays celebratory, in really celebrating the feast days, it changes that perspective and it almost becomes a moment. Obviously it becomes a way of catechesis, but also a way of building community within your family, of course, and, with other families. So I would really encourage you all to check out this book, Catholic All Year. I thought something that was really cool that you had in here was the Ember Days. That was really great. That's not a common thing, but it's becoming more popular. And one of the things I wanted to share is a little sign that you have typed out for during Lent. And it says, "It is Lent. I should not watch TV, play video games, eat treats. I should," here are just a couple of examples, "pray often, come when I am called, let others go first, do for others." And then this is the best one. "If I'm bored, I can clean my room, clean someone else's room, pray the rosary, read or look at a book." These are just great examples to have because, nothing will build your ability to pray than growing up in a prayerful environment. And Lent is really a great time for that. So I like how you put that in there. Obviously, we've mentioned all the great times, but like you said, you can't truly have a feast without a fast. And as we all know, Fulton Sheen, well, you may not know, but Fulton Sheen always said, there's no Easter Sunday without a Good Friday. So there is that aspect of our faith and of our life that has to be sacrificial in order to truly feast. Kendra, did you want to transition into your new thing coming out?
Oh, well, I've got a couple new things coming out. Wall calendars, which has been sort of the most fundamental thing for me in remembering when different saints' days are, is a calendar hanging on the wall. And you can often get them for free in the church vestibule. And those are the ones that I used for a really long time. And it's okay with me if you want to use those. But if you're looking for something that talks about the different feast days and gives you reminders, I have 4 versions of a liturgical calendar, wall calendar, that are available on my website. And they talk about the different feast days that I talk about in the book, and different prayers that are recommended and associated with different days, indulgences, ember days, fasting days, recommended fasting days and required fasting days, all those. So there's 4 different versions and they're on my website at Catholic All Year.
All right. So a question for my traditional Catholics out there. Do you have any traditional calendars?
I don't have specifically traditional calendars. I'd say that mine is, it's definitely a Novus Ordo calendar, but it contains more feast days than are on the universal calendar. So it has a lot of the historic saints included on it also, but if their feast days have been moved, they are on this calendar in their current location, current date.
Okay. Maybe one day, right, Kendra? I'm just kidding.
Probably not. It's a lot of work, but
okay.
But yeah, there's got to be somebody out there who observes the traditional calendar and wants to do it for you guys.
We actually, at our house, we have the the ordinary form calendar, and then right underneath it, the extraordinary form, or the traditional calendar. Yeah. So it's really cool to see that. So, it's great when they line up on the same day. We're like, yes. What prompted you to do the calendars?
Well, it really, because it's the thing that allows me to get to this in any given day. When I'm doing my meal planning for the week, I take a look at what feast days are coming up and try to incorporate some meals that are associated with different feast days. And, that can be as easy as, if we're going to have spaghetti that week, I'll pick to have it on one of the many, many Italian saints' days. And I'll plan a taco night for the Mexican martyrs. And what it does is just sort of facilitate conversation around the dinner table. That's what I'm trying to do with all of this, is it makes it feel special and interesting. And it gives us, that platform for talking about that saint over dinner. So exactly. When I have the saints when I have the calendar hanging up on the wall, And especially I wanted to make my own because the ones that I've seen didn't have all the information that I wanted. So I wanted to have the saint and the country that they are from or associated with to help me with meal planning. And I wanted reminders of when indulgences are that are associated with particular days. And there are a lot of prayers that are associated with particular feast days. That's something that I really love about the liturgical calendar also, is that it gives us that framework for all these different beautiful blessings and prayers and devotions that you couldn't possibly get to them all over the course of a day or a week. But they give us this framework of the liturgical year that tells us pray for the holy souls in November. You should be saying a rosary every day, but if you're not really focused on it in October,
Yes.
and so I wanted that sort of information on the calendar to remind me, here's the day when I'm supposed to say this prayer. Here's the day when we should do this blessing, things like that.
That is great. I like to hear that you have the saint's country from there, because so many times we're like, oh, this saint, and we're like, where are they even from? So that's good to have. Now, let's transition to having a large family. So 10 kids, that is amazing.